The morning light filtered through the mansion's tall glass windows, casting golden streaks across the marble floor. Everything about the Beaumont estate spoke of wealth, the kind that made people whisper, admire, and envy. But behind the luxury, behind the shimmering chandeliers and polished silver, there was tension that money could never silence. Vivienne Beaumont, the billionaire's wife, stood at the top of the grand staircase, her silk robe tied perfectly at the waist. Her gaze swept over the foyer where the new nanny stood, a woman in her late 20s, dressed simply in faded jeans and a beige cardigan. Her name was Clara. She held her hands together, humble, steady, and quiet. Vivienne's lips curved in the kind of smile that wasn't warmth, it was evaluation. "You've worked for children before?" she asked, her tone clipped, and cool. Clara nodded softly. "Yes, ma'am. For several families." Vivienne looked her up and down, eyes lingering on the woman's modest clothes. "I see. Well, my children are particular. They don't respond well to incompetence." Clara's reply was calm. "Children usually respond to understanding, not perfection." Vivienne's brows lifted slightly, a flicker of surprise, perhaps even irritation. "We'll see," she murmured, turning away. From that moment, the lines were drawn. The Beaumont children, Emma, age 7, and Theo, 5, were bright, clever, and spoiled beyond measure. They had burned through 3 nannies in 6 months. Their father, Richard Beaumont, was rarely home. He ran a global tech company, always traveling, always busy. His absence left Vivienne managing the household alone, or at least appearing to. Clara's first day began with spilled orange juice, tantrums, and a deflated soccer ball thrown in frustration. But through it all, she never raised her voice. She simply knelt to the children's level, met their eyes, and said quietly, "I know you're not angry about the juice, sweetheart. You just miss someone, don't you?" Theo froze mid-tear. He didn't answer, but his lip trembled. Vivienne, watching from the doorway, frowned. "He's fine," she snapped. "You don't need to psychoanalyze him." Clara didn't respond, only continued to clean the juice with gentle patience. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, the household rhythm shifted. The laughter that had been missing from the grand halls began to return. Emma started drawing again, her little hands sketching pictures of her family. But now, with a new figure in them, Clara, Vivienne noticed. And something inside her twinged a feeling she didn't like. At breakfast one morning, she set down her coffee cup and said sharply, "Emma, darling, why is Clara in all your drawings?" Emma smiled. "Because she listens to us, Mommy." Vivienne's eyes flicked toward Clara, who stood at the corner of the kitchen, tidying the counter. "Well," Vivienne said coldly, "it's her job to listen. Don't confuse kindness with obligation." Clara paused, her back still turned. "Kindness is never an obligation, Mrs. Beaumont," she said softly. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. That night, Vivienne called her husband. "She's overstepping," Vivienne said. "The children are becoming attached. It's unhealthy." Richard's voice crackled through the speaker. "Viv, maybe that's what they need. Someone steady. Someone you don't have to compete with." "Compete?" Vivienne's voice rose. "You think I'm jealous of the help?" "I think," Richard replied quietly, "you're lonely." The call ended in silence. Vivienne sat in her grand bedroom, the city lights glowing beyond the glass wall, and felt something she hadn't allowed herself in years, the ache of being unseen. Meanwhile, downstairs, Clara was tucking the children into bed. Emma whispered, "Clara, why doesn't Mommy smile anymore?" Clara brushed the child's hair gently. "Sometimes grown-ups forget how, but that doesn't mean they never will again." Theo's small voice joined in. "Can you help her remember?" Clara hesitated, eyes distant. "I'll try, sweetheart. I'll try." But in the quiet of her room later that night, Clara took out a small velvet box from her bag. Inside was a delicate locket with two photos. One was of her as a child, the other of a woman who looked strikingly like Vivienne Beaumont. The days that followed were quieter, almost tender. Vivienne began to notice things she hadn't before: the soft hum of laughter echoing from the playroom, the sound of Clara's gentle singing as she folded laundry, the warmth in her children's eyes that she hadn't seen in years. But along with that warmth came something else: discomfort. Annoying unease that whispered she was losing control of her own home. One afternoon, as rain tapped against the window panes, Vivian walked into the study and found Clara reading to the children. The story was one Vivian knew: The Secret Garden. It was her favorite as a child. Clara's voice carried the same rhythm her mother used to use, each word soft and weighted with love. "Where did you learn to read like that?" Vivian asked, her tone sharper than she intended. Clara looked up, startled. "My mother used to read it to me every night." Vivian's chest tightened. "Your mother must have had good taste." Clara smiled faintly. "She did. She loved stories with second chances." The words lingered like perfume in the air. That night, Vivian couldn't sleep. She wandered into the hallway, drawn to something she couldn't name. Passing Clara's room, she noticed the door slightly ajar. Inside, Clara sat on the bed, holding a small velvet box. Vivian froze as the light glinted off the locket inside. Her breath caught. She knew that locket. She had one identical, tucked away in her own jewelry box. Her mother had given her a pair when she was young, one for her, and one for her little sister who disappeared after their parents' divorce. The world seemed tilt. Double quotes. "Where did you get that?" Vivian's voice cracked, startling Clara. Clara stood slowly, eyes wide, tears forming. "I was hoping you remember me." "Vivian." For a moment, silence filled the room, heavy. Trembling, Vivian's lips parted. Her eyes scanning the face before her, the same eyes, the same tiny scar near the brow. Memories flooded back. 2 little girls playing by the lake, pink ribbons, laughter, and the day everything fell apart. "Clara?" The name escaped like a whisper. Clara nodded, tears falling freely now. "I didn't come here for revenge or pity. I just wanted to see you again. I wanted to know if you were happy." Vivian's hand covered her mouth. All the pride, all the distance, all the years of bitterness melted away in that instant. She stepped forward and pulled her sister into her arms, shaking with silent sobs. "I thought you hated me," Vivian whispered. "I never did," Clara said softly. "I just waited for the day you'd let someone love you again." And for the first time in years, Vivian cried not out of anger or loneliness, but out of release. The next morning, the Beaumont mansion felt different. The light seemed softer, warmer. Vivian sat with her children and Clara at breakfast, her hand resting over her sister's. "Sometimes, the people we look down on are the ones who come to lift us up, not as strangers, but as family we'd forgotten how to love."